Welcome everybody to my very first hybrid video where it's part vlog and part speed art. I would like to start a tutorial series where I kind of teach the basics and give tips and tricks on how to paint, mainly with acrylics, but once you learn one medium it kind of transfers over to other mediums. And I wanted to take this opportunity to show you why I love working with acrylics, especially out of all of the mediums. This one's my favorite, and kind of show you the common mistakes that I make and how to kind of fix them. And yeah, so I guess let's get into it. Today I'm going to be painting a fairy wolf, dragon wolf, kind of abstract fantasy kind of painting. Kind of not usually what I usually do, but it came out fairly well compared to what I was expecting. So, yeah. All right, so I started this painting with a background that I did about a year ago. I originally planned to do some kind of space, alien spaceships type deal, and it just was sitting there for a very long time, and I didn't feel like doing that anymore. So I decided that I was finally going to finish it and just do something else. I really like how the background came out. It didn't really seem like space much anymore after I finished, so it kind of reminded me more of a water scene, and it's not exactly what I ended up painting on it, but as you can see, I start out my paintings by doing the background first, and then kind of sketching out with a pencil what I want to do afterwards on top, and I white everything out. And it's kind of a backwards way of doing it, I guess. It's probably the long way, and it's probably not the best way of doing things, but to work around a background, or to do the foreground first and then do the background is very difficult. So it depends on what you're painting. I find that with a darker background like this, I find it's better to just do the background and then white it out. But if you're doing a lighter background, or if you know what you're going to paint, you can sometimes kind of sketch it out and work around that. But if you do the whole foreground first and then do the background, you will find that it is extremely difficult to get around all of the edges and trying not to ruin what you've just painted, and it doesn't look as good. And with this painting, it was kind of, originally I was going for a wolf dragon, and then I started doing these wings and realized that they didn't look as much like dragon wings as I originally planned. So they kind of reminded me of fairy wings. And so that's kind of what I went with. I decided to go with a more fairy cutesy type deal instead of a dragon. But this is a very good example of why I love just art and painting in general, is because what I originally had in mind can easily be changed. Like, it was originally going to be a dragon, but instead of me saying, well, crap, it doesn't look like a dragon, now what do I do? Instead of scrapping it, I just kind of changed my idea. And a lot of the times when you're painting, that's going to happen. You're going to get halfway through it and look at it and be like, this is not what I planned at all. It's not looking what I wanted to. but you can fix that. You can either keep working on it until it looks like how you want it to look, or you can change your idea and be like, well, it kind of looks like this, and so I'm gonna just go with it, and I'm gonna make it look more like this. And that's kind of what I did here. I decided to make it look more fairy-like, and just kind of went with it. I decided to use this opportunity, since it wasn't what I originally planned, to try something different, try a different style. I decided to do this undercoat with all the shading, and then I've got this paint. It's called Gloss Medium, and I've been using it as like a varnish when it's too rainy or snowy or cold outside, so I just use this instead of my usual enamel spray. But it can also, on the back it says you can mix it with acrylics colors to increase transparency and flow. And so that's what I decided to try out. I mixed it with the light green that I was using as the shading over the top, and decided to kind of give it, well, my hope was to give the wings to a transparent kind of shine look. And I think it came out pretty well, considering it was my first time trying something like this. It wasn't exactly what I had planned, and it was kind of made the canvas feel more plastic, like made the paint feel more plasticky. And it was kind of weird to work over, but it worked. So that's all that really matters. And then I decided to go over all of my lines with, it's basically a Sharpie, but it's an art Sharpie. They come in different thicknesses and different sizes. It's just a Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen, I guess. And it kind of gave the wings a more comic type feel. So, and I didn't really, at about this point, I stepped back and I didn't really like the background. I felt like with the wings being more of a comic feel, it didn't feel like it belonged. So what I decided to do is make these bubbles and kind of try and do it in the same style as the wings to hopefully bring the painting together. I then started to add more detail to the wolf and do another undercoat layer of a different color, a darker green, so that I could kind of make it match the wings more, a little bit anyway. At this point, I was finally happy with the background and everything coming together, so I started working out the final details of the wolf, which I ended up going over the wolf many times. I decided that the wings needed to connect a bit more to the wolf because they didn't feel like it was part of the wolf. It just felt like a separate piece to the painting. So I weighted out some of the areas near his legs to kind of hopefully get the coloring to blend a little bit better. Which at first I was a little nervous because the coloring didn't really match because I had so many layers of paint on the wings. So it took quite a bit of trying different things to get it to exactly where I wanted it to. But after I had the detail in the wolf and mixed in more of that color green into the wolf instead of just the dark green, I added some of the greens that were in the wings to kind of get it to match a little bit better. And I think overall in the end it did what I needed it to do. I was getting closer to the end of the detail work on the wolf right about here, and I decided I didn't like the tail anymore, and instead of trying to recreate the backgrounds that I did years ago, or at least a year ago, I decided to put another bubble around the tail so that I wouldn't have to try and mess with the background, because once you have a background, to get the colors, unless you know exactly what colors you use, it's kind of difficult to mix the colors precisely to how they are already. It can be done, and I've done it before, but I didn't think that it was worth the time to do it here. I figured since I already had stuff in the background, it was just easier to put a new bubble there and be done with it. I tried adding detail work to the paws and adding claws to them, but I couldn't really get it correct, and once again, didn't want to fiddle with it too much after I've put a bunch of detail work into the fox. So I ended up just kind of painting over it to make it look like the fur went over its paws and over its feet. Kind of like it needed a haircut. Which I made the rest of the fur quite long instead of short. So I feel like it works. I hope you guys enjoyed my voiceover and kind of showing you what I love about painting. As you can see, it's so easy to fix mistakes. Most of the time it's easy anyway. It can be kind of difficult, but it can be done, and that's the point of this video. Is mistakes are easily made during painting, especially when you're first starting out, but they can be fixed. And that's what I love about painting so much, especially with acrylics. Watercolors and oils are more difficult to fix, and you kind of have to recreate the entire piece to fix them, especially with watercolors. Once you've done something, you can't take it back as much. Apparently, there is hacks with magic erasers so that you can actually erase watercolors, but I haven't really tried that myself. And with oil, you have to wait a long time for it to dry, or if you make a mistake, you need to fix it right away because it takes so long to dry. And so that's why I love acrylic so much, is because it dries fairly quickly, but you can go over it in that instance as well instead of waiting a long time. And as you can see, this painting was a lot bigger than I usually do. I tend to do 8 by 10s, and it came out better than I expected. When I first started, I didn't like it at all, but that's also the other beauty of painting, is you can fix it to how you want it to look. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below if you want to see more tutorial videos and more tips and tricks maybe, and we'll see how it goes. Bye!